Welcome back to the Daily BS. My name is Doug Larson. You can find us at barbellshrug.com. I got a question from someone asking if we consider CrossFit to have a lack of structural balance in any way. So a lot of CrossFitters do CrossFit because they want to be pretty good at everything. All right? The way CrossFit's kind of working out nowadays is that it's turning into a sport, and people are leaning away from being good at everything, and they're leaning towards training for CrossFit as a sport. So there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. It still turns you into a pretty well-rounded athlete if you get good at CrossFit as a competitive CrossFitter. But I'm going to take this question, even though I don't know exactly what that person's referring to, and name 3 things that I think are left out commonly in CrossFit programming. Those 3 things are full speed sprinting in agility, horizontal pulling, and throwing things. I almost forgot what my 3rd thing was. So full speed sprinting, throwing things, and horizontal pulling. So number 1, if you're a soccer player, for example, you need to run full speed, 100% full speed, pretty much all the time. You're gonna run full speed, and then the ball's gonna go away from you. You're gonna kind of jog back to position, or kind of just track the ball, and you're not gonna be running very fast for a second, and then the ball's gonna get close to you, and you're gonna sprint over there as fast as you can. You're gonna be cutting, changing direction, and it's a very agile sport. Same goes for football and a lot of other field sports. You run full speed, you change directions at full speed, and it's very reactive. You don't know which direction you're gonna have to go next. You just react to the ball or to the other people on the field. In CrossFit, it's very predictable. We know exactly where we're going pretty much at all times. I never run somewhere and then someone says, go that way, and I have to change directions on a dime, basically. So agility and full speed sprinting, if you're a field sport athlete or a college athlete and that's a part of your sport, you might want to incorporate more sprinting and agility work and ladder drills and cone drills and things like that into your off-season training if you have a court or field sport that you're preparing for. The other thing that a lot of CrossFitters don't program very often is heavy horizontal pulling. So once you get beyond doing ring rows as a scaled version of pull-ups, then a lot of CrossFitters stop doing horizontal pulling where I'm pulling something heavy towards me. Rowing is very light, like rowing on a rower is very light. I'm doing horizontal pulling over and over again, but it's very light. And so I'm talking about horizontal pulling specifically for strength. A lot of CrossFitters don't do bent over rows or bent over dumbbell rows or seated rows even. We don't have a lot of cable machines, but in regular gyms a lot of people do seated rows, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we don't do a lot of horizontal pulling. So at our gym we program a lot of bent over barbell rows as part of our strength classes. We might do 5 back squats, and then in between each set of 5 we might do a set of 8 on horizontal rows or a set of 5 on horizontal rows with a barbell. So that's one thing that we program that I don't see a lot of other places very often. The final thing there was there's not a lot of throwing in CrossFit, and again that's because there's not a lot of throwing in CrossFit competitions, so people just tend not to worry about it. And logistically in a lot of gyms it's hard to do a lot of throwing. So whether you're shot putting a med ball and I'm moving in rotation, and I'm working on that resisting rotation at my trunk while rotating at the hips in the process, which we did a whole technique WOD on. You can go look up resisting rotation. It's part of that 3-part core series that we did a while back, where we talk about throwing and doing things like powerlift presses and full contact twists. A lot of people don't program that type of stuff. So obviously for a CrossFit gym it's hard to go out and work on throwing baseballs or javelins or a lot of things that you might throw a long way, but doing things like throwing med balls or shot putting med balls, or even hitting a punching bag where I'm throwing hooks and I'm rotating back and forth like a boxer, is something that a lot of CrossFitters don't do unless they're an MMA athlete or a boxer or something like that. So again, it's nothing necessarily wrong. It doesn't mean that you're doing bad programming if you're not programming these things, but to answer the question about structural balance, those are 3 things that I see not programmed that often at most gyms. So again, you can go check out that technique WOD if you want to learn more about resisting rotation and training for rotation the right way, in my opinion. If you have more questions about this, you can go to barbellshrug.com. You can click the Ask a Question tab, or you can go to Twitter. On Twitter, it's at barbellshrug, and you can ask us a question there.
If you like this video or any of our other videos, make sure to share it on your Facebook wall by clicking share and then the Facebook icon, and then also like it. Thanks, Truck Thugs.